Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn. The question is unconditional love real when it comes to parent-child relationships? I'll answer that question my way in a minute. I'll see you then. So, unconditional love. It's what we it's what we imagine is when we're with our children or our parents. And again, I mentioned in the previous video that before we have children, we have a sense of this belongingness, this unconditional love that happens when we're with our children. We imagine, and even for some parents, I've heard this, that when the baby is born, they felt a sense of love that they never ever expected to experience ever in their life. And here is this experience of love, and it's like this is going to last forever. And we have that sense that it will last forever until the child wakes up in the middle of the night 3, 4 times, or if they get sick, or they start challenging who we know ourselves to be as people, and we begin to get upset or irritated with them or ourselves. And I know this is true for people with children who have challenges, is they take responsibility or they make it their fault that the child may have challenges that they weren't expecting. So all of these dynamics take us from unconditional love, it's like this couldn't be more loving, to situations where it isn't unconditional anymore. And this is true when we meet a partner and decide to partner up or marry, is we have this experience of this love that feels like it's undying. And we quite often in marriages will profess this undying love to my very best friend that will be always my very best friend, and I will love and cherish, and until we don't, until something else shows up. And this is a big deal, because we have expectations. It's like, oh, my children will always, as I mentioned before, my children will always love me. They will always accept me. They will always know me to be loving and kind, and they will always come to me. We'll have this belonging. Every Christmas and Thanksgiving will always, always, always. And that isn't what happened. And that dynamic is crazy making, because we go, wait a second. And as a child, it's like, wait a second, my parents are supposed to do A, B, and C so that, because they love me, and they're not doing that. So what is that? Or as a parent going, why is my child acting that way? It's making me mad and upset, and I don't like this person very much anymore. And these kinds of personal preferences, these judgments, these thoughts about how it should be, actually get in the way of this place of unconditional love. So we begin to be aware of the conditions that we place on our parents or our children. We become aware of, so for instance, I grew up Catholic. My parents were very Catholic. It didn't work for me to be Catholic. So when I chose to not go to church anymore and was openly clear with my mother and say, I'm not going to go to church, she was very angry at me. And not only angry, she didn't talk to me for 3 weeks, and we never discussed it ever again. Rather than, in a sense, a parent that might be unconditionally loving saying, wow, I'm so excited for you that you're exploring what's true for you. I'm so excited to hear that you're looking with curiosity about what you believe, what you know for yourself. Like that level of presence to who they are, who we are, is what we want. And that's why quite often therapists or coaches or aunts and uncles become the person that we go to. Quite often it's not the parent or even a grandparent we go to, because there isn't so much conditions placed on us or on them to be a certain way. I've got a number of nieces that can talk easily to me where they can't talk easily to their parents. And the same with my daughter. She goes to my sisters because she can do that. There's a sense of an unconditional acceptance. So is unconditional loving possible? I think it is there. I think it's within all of us. The challenge is to be able to distinguish those conditions that we place over the top of this unconditional love, that we become aware of the expectations that get in the way again of our unconditional love, the expectations, the attachments to my desire for my children to be a certain way, and if they're not that way, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I withhold, I withdraw, right? That's what I can do. As opposed to saying, I love these people, and I want them to be happy. I want them to be in their happiness and in the goodness of them. And so how can I be that continually supports that? And at the same time is growing the ability to accept what I cannot change in them. That my love for them is my love for them, and everything else is secondary. And if I can practice that, that gives me a foundation. It gives me a stake in the ground. Okay, here's this love, and everything else is secondary. And it gives me that stake, and this is where, again, families become a spiritual path, because to do this level of work of growing my capacity to be in that unconditional love place means I have to really look at my stuff and my attachments to where I want it to be different, where I am unforgiving, where I am unaccepting. And that's about me, that's not about them. So the more I can do that, the happier I'm going to be, the more in serenity I'll be, and peaceful, and the more I am available to them, not in my limited, constrained frustration because they're not what I want them to be, but I'm in that I grew these people in my tummy so that they could be the expression of their fullest whole selves. That was what's true. And though I had expectations it was going to look a certain way, does that mean that I stop loving them because it looks the way it looks? So that's the dilemma that all of us face, whether we're children or parents. That's what we face. All right. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like this video if it's of value to you, and please share it with others if you think it would be valuable to share it with them. And if you can and you have something to say, I would love to hear your thoughts about your relationship with this thing called unconditional love. All right, that's it for now. Bye-bye.